What if one decision could change everything? Imagine this. You wake up exhausted, not just tired, but drained in a way coffee can't fix. Your calendar is full, but your soul feels empty. You say yes to everyone else's needs while quietly ignoring your own. Maybe you've even forgotten what you truly want anymore. I've been there, stuck in a cycle of people-pleasing, chasing validation, or clinging to a life that looked good on paper but left me feeling invisible in my own story. Until one day, I hit my breaking point, and that's when I realized the moment you choose yourself, everything changes. Not just your schedule or your relationships. You change. Your confidence, your peace, even the opportunities that start showing up. Because when you finally decide you're worth prioritizing, the universe rearranges itself to meet you there. If you're ready for that shift, keep watching. This is your sign. Asterisk. We live in a world that praises selflessness to the point of self-erasure. From childhood, we're taught that putting others first is the ultimate virtue, that saying no is selfish and setting boundaries is unkind. We absorb messages like, if you really cared, you'd sacrifice, or don't be difficult, just go along with it. Over time, these ideas harden into invisible rules we follow without question, as if our worth depends on how much we can endure for others. But beneath that obedience lives a quiet fear. What if they reject me when I stop performing? We dim our needs because we've learned it's safer, that love, approval, and belonging are conditional on how useful we are to others. We'd rather shrink than risk being called too much or not enough. So we silence our desires, swallow our exhaustion, and plaster on a smile, hoping no one notices the cost. And the cruelest lie of all, we start believing that self-sacrifice is the same as goodness, that burning ourselves out for others is noble, rather than what it really is, a slow surrender to the one life we're given. We confuse martyrdom with love, forgetting that even the most compassionate hearts need care too. But here's the truth. You cannot pour from an empty cup. And the moment you stop abandoning yourself is the moment you reclaim not just your energy, but your right to exist fully, unapologetically, on your own terms. There comes a moment, sometimes quiet, sometimes explosive, when the weight of self-abandonment becomes too heavy to carry. You might notice at first in the small things, that simmering resentment when you say yes yet again, the exhaustion no amount of sleep can fix, or the unsettling feeling that you become a stranger to yourself. You scroll through old photos and wonder, when did I stop recognizing the person staring back at me? Then comes a question that changes everything. Why does everyone else's happiness matter more than mine? That's the crack in the dam. Maybe it hits you mid-conversation, as you cancel your own plans to accommodate someone who wouldn't do the same for you. Or maybe it's a breaking point, a health scare, a missed opportunity, or a relationship that drained you dry. For me, it was all three. I'll never forget the night I sat on my bathroom floor, physically shaking from exhaustion, realizing I'd spent years building a life that looked perfect, except I was miserable in it. I convinced myself that if I just kept giving, kept achieving, kept shrinking, I'd earn my worth. But that night, the truth was undeniable. I was running on empty, and no amount of external validation could fill the hole where my self-respect used to be. That was a turning point. The moment I decided, enough. I wish I could tell you it was graceful, but it wasn't. It was messy. I disappointed people. I faced backlash for setting boundaries. But for the first time, I also felt something unfamiliar, freedom. Slowly, I began rebuilding my life around my own needs, not just everyone else's. And that's when the real transformation began. Choosing yourself isn't about selfishness. It's about sovereignty. It starts with clarity, the willingness to say no to what drains you so you can say yes to what truly matters. Picture this. Every time you decline a request that misaligns with your peace, every time you refuse to apologize for your needs, you're not being rude. You're drawing a map back to yourself. This isn't rejection, it's redirection. You're no longer trading your integrity for approval because you've realized a no to others is often a yes to your future self. Then comes a courage, the messy middle where discomfort feels like betrayal. You'll worry you're letting people down. You might even grieve the version of you who people please their way to safety. But here's the secret. That short-term unease? It's the price of admission to a life where you're not constantly overgiving just to feel enough. The discomfort fades. The freedom doesn't. And finally, commitment. The daily practice of treating yourself like someone worth protecting. It's the small choices, the morning walk instead of scrolling, the therapy appointment you actually keep, the hard conversation you stop avoiding, that rebuild your relationship with yourself. Like the oxygen mask on a plane, you can't save others if you're gasping for air. Choosing yourself isn't a one-time event. It's the quiet revolution of showing up for your own life, day after day, even when it's unglamorous. Especially then, the moment you start choosing yourself, the universe begins rearranging itself to meet you at your worth. Externally, relationships undergo a necessary refinement, some deepen, while others fall away. The people who truly value you, not just what you do for them, will respect your boundaries and celebrate your growth. The rest? They'll reveal themselves through resistance or retreat, making space for new connections that honor your authenticity. Opportunities you never imagined start appearing, not because the world changed, but because you did. When you stop settling for crumbs, you suddenly notice the banquets you once walked past. Internally, the shift is even more profound. The anxiety of constantly performing for love or approval begins to quiet. In its place, a quiet confidence takes root, not the loud, chest-thumping kind, but the steady knowing that you are enough exactly as you are. Creativity you thought you'd lost resurfaces, because you're no longer pouring all your energy into managing others' perceptions. And perhaps most surprisingly, a deep calm emerges. The frantic urgency to prove, hustle, and people-please dissolves into the radical understanding that you belong here, not because of what you do, but simply because you are. I'll never forget the week after I left my toxic job. For years, I convinced myself I needed the paycheck, the title, the illusion of security, until my body literally shut down from the stress. The first morning I woke up without that weight, I expected panic. Instead, I felt something foreign: peace. Within months, opportunities I'd been too busy to notice came knocking. Freelance work that aligned with my values, collaborations that excited me, even time to finally write the book I'd been putting off for a decade. The job wasn't the problem. My tolerance for it was. And when I stopped tolerating what drained me, everything changed. The journey to choosing yourself begins not with grand gestures, but with small, deliberate acts of rebellion against self-abandonment. Start by identifying one area you've neglected, that part of your life you keep postponing for someday. Maybe it's rest, the creative project collecting dust, or simply eating lunch without multitasking. This isn't about overhauling your life overnight. It's about noticing where you've been dismissing your own needs and deciding today to stop. Next, set one boundary this week. It could be as simple as turning off notifications after 8 p.m., declining a request that drains you, or finally speaking up about that resentment you've been swallowing. Boundaries aren't walls. They're the gates to your sanity. Expect discomfort. It's proof you're breaking old patterns. But with each no, you reclaim a piece of yourself you once gave away. Then, ask yourself the most powerful question: what will my future self thank me for? Imagine her, a year from now, radiant with relief, looking back at this moment. Would she thank you for staying quiet, or for finally honoring that whisper inside you? Use her clarity as your compass, and repeat this daily like a mantra. I am worthy of my own love. Not when you achieve more, not when you're thinner or richer, or finally perfect. Now. Say it until you believe it, and then say it louder. Because the truth is, you don't need permission to choose yourself. You just need to start. This is your reminder. Your life changes the day you decide you matter, not as an afterthought, not as a backup plan, but as your first and most important commitment. Everything you've been waiting for, the peace, the opportunities, the freedom to show up fully as yourself, begins the moment you stop waiting for permission to prioritize your own existence. So let this be your turning point. If this video resonated with you, I want to hear it. Comment, "I choose me" below. Let's create a wave of people refusing to shrink themselves any longer. And if you're ready for more tools to build unshakable self-worth, hit subscribe. We're just getting started. Because here's the truth they never taught you: the best project you'll ever work on is you. Not your achievements, not your relationships, not your ability to please others, but the radical, revolutionary act of believing you're worth your own time. And that project, it starts now.